Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm Christine McDonald.
Hello, my name is Alberto Robles, en Spanish.
Well,
Bienvenidos todos a este evento y pues vamos a ver qué tal sale.
Okay, so we are the co-founders of Hola Cultura, and we just wanted to welcome you and thank you for coming tonight. We're looking forward to the conversation, we're going to start out with Melody and Marvin making their presentation, and after that we'll stop the live stream and have a conversation that won't be recorded, just within the community. So thank you for joining, Melody, over to you.
Thank you, Christine, for that warm welcome. My name is Melody Marichalar. I'm a spell intern here at Hola Cultura. I've been here since February, and I am a recent college graduate at Western Washington University, where I studied journalism and creative writing.
Hi everyone, my name is Marvin Juarez, and this is my second semester with Spell. I graduated from the University of California, Davis this year, and I'm happy to have you all here.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, sorry, guys.
Alrighty. Well, before we start with the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about Hola Cultura and who we are. We are a DC and Boston-based nonprofit publication that focuses on uplifting Latina voices through storytelling and reporting. We cover many different topics here. Some of those include arts and culture, investigative reporting. We also offer book charlas where we spotlight different Latina authors, and we have a food column. And we are just so happy for you to make time out of your day to be here with us. Alrighty, so Marvin and I just wrapped up a 3-part series about the East Boston community and its resilience and adaptation during the COVID-19 pandemic. The final story was actually just posted today, so please go give it a read. We are very proud of our work, and thank you to everyone who was able to participate in all of the interviews that we were able to conduct. It meant everything to us. A little bit about this series. We talked about the different nonprofits that help support the community, and we shared the hidden labors of these nonprofits, the importance of trusted spaces, and how these nonprofits have carried these initiatives during another unprecedented time where the presence of immigration control plagues our neighborhoods. To share these stories, I talked to 7 different nonprofits in the East Boston community. These nonprofits before the pandemic did things like teach English classes, grow fresh food, but once the pandemic hit, they had to completely transform their mission overnight. And these are the nonprofits that I was talked to. And these nonprofits had to support these people because East Boston is made up of many immigrants. More than half of the residents here are an immigrant, and because of that, they were on the front lines during COVID. They were the ones risking their lives every day to go to work. And over to Marvin.
Thank you, Melody. Before I go into my takeaways, I wanted to talk about the impact of COVID-19. In just the first month of the pandemic, the state of Massachusetts lost around 700,000 jobs. The city of Boston specifically reached an unemployment rate of 16.1% in June of 2020. And before the World Health Organization declared an end to the emergency, 7 million people were killed worldwide by COVID. Now, to talk about my work, after speaking to 3 East Boston residents whose lives were changed by COVID, we found that stay-at-home orders were largely ineffective for immigrant communities. To provide some examples as to why, from my interviews, some in the immigrant community needed extra support that forced them outside. For instance, financial struggles prompted people to return to work in the wake of stay-at-home orders, and food insecurity led many to seek out food distribution sites, which often had long lines, increasing the risk of COVID-19 exposure. So all of these factors expose a lack of understanding of immigrant living conditions. Specifically, the effect was disproportionate on East Boston Latinx residents, which through my interviews, we found that it led to lifelong physical and mental health impacts on people's lives. But we also found that the East Boston community is one based on helping others. Among those I interviewed, community members tended to support others even when they themselves were in positions of struggle. For example, during the pandemic, if they had extra food, they'd pass it on to their neighbors. And fast forward to now, regarding ICE, chat systems are being built to alert residents to nearby ICE activity. Now, to shed light on the three people I interviewed, Noemi Rodriguez is a community organizer who worked with a rapid response team to support people in her community. Elena and Beatriz also have a history of helping those in the community through food relief and volunteering. Elena deciding that she needed to return to work due to financial struggles, lost her mother to COVID and carries the guilt from infecting her family. And Beatriz, after getting COVID, suffered a kidney collapse and now undergoes dialysis 3 days a week for 3 hours a day. To speak to some of the challenges I faced in reaching out to the community, many arose from technological issues. Because I am based in California, I had trouble setting up a standard Zoom meeting and faced a 3-hour time difference, which made scheduling interviews with East Boston residents challenging. My experience exposes inequities in the access to technology and tech literacy within the East Boston immigrant community, and I had to change my approach by using personal references and phone contacts. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I'll pass it back to Melody.
Thank you, Marvin. Throughout my reporting, I found that the most urgent needs were emergency childcare and food. All 7 of these organizations provided some sort of meal support, whether that looked like a meal distribution site or even driving around at night delivering meals to families who were too sick or afraid to leave their home. Now, these meals represented more than just nourishment. They represented some sort of stability. This was such an unpredictable time. New news was coming out every day about the pandemic, and no one knew what to believe. While talking with these workers, many of them shared how they were scared. They were just as scared as the families that they were serving. They worried about their own health, and if they got sick, who would help support these communities? They worried about their family's health, their elderly parents, yet they continued to show up every day for this neighborhood. They felt like they almost had a moral obligation to their community. Another takeaway that I found was just how personal the care was for these people. Gloria from the East Boston Social Centers talks about how she raided her own home looking for pens and pencils and paper for the classroom that never closed because of COVID. Joe Gaeta from the YMCA shared about how he woke up at 4 a.m. every day and worked 14 hours with his team to spend time creating meal bags. And because of that, his team prepped almost 1 million food bags in 2020. Now, these people were also very aware that not everyone could eat the same food. A lot of these organizations had to call in different mosques and Muslim chefs to prepare meals so that everyone could enjoy food. Another takeaway that I found in my reporting is that a lot of these people had to rely on each other emotionally. Not only was it physically draining, but it took an emotion toll on them as well. There was a lot of grief and sadness surrounding them, and they continued to work every day still. They talked about relying on each other. They talked about different collaborations that came out of COVID, and a lot of those collaborations are still actually being used today. They're being used for what we call the second pandemic. Once again, these organizations are facing another crisis and they're trying to help their communities. Throughout my reporting, I referred to this as the second pandemic because those who were once deemed as heroes are now being targeted because of their skin tone and their accents. These nonprofits have had to once again transform their mission, create creative ways on how to host events and provide security for their families. One story that stuck out to me was how the YMCA has a designated spot for children or just anyone who feels unsafe because of the presence of ice. And they can just run into the bathroom in the YMCA and stay for as long as they need until they feel safe to go home. A lot of these organizations have group pickups so that these children and families feel safe to pick their children up from school. Another thing that I found in my reporting is that people are afraid to take their children to school. A lot of kindergartners are missing this crucial year for development because their families just do not feel safe. A lot of these people that I talk to say that the East Boston community kind of has an eerie, empty feeling because of this. And it breaks my heart, but I'm so glad that we were able to share their stories through this series. Throughout this presentation and these stories that we've published, I hope you not only learn how much this community has endured, but also how much it supports each other and how these people rely on one another. Thank you.
So thank you for hearing us out. Our 3-part COVID series is now live on our website at holacultura.com. You can read our stories now by clicking on the link in the chat. But if you are unable to access the chat, visit holacultura.com. The stories are being translated into Spanish and will be finished soon. And we are also currently fundraising for our new summer interns. So if you are able to donate, please do so at holacultura.com. But if you're unable to, just share the site with your friends so we can do more of these important stories about the community for the community.